So good afternoon, everybody. For those of you that are not on the West Coast, good morning, good evening, wherever it may be that you're coming from. We welcome today a really special afternoon. Dr. Vasant Lad from the Ayurvedic Institute has been kind enough to make a video for us speaking about spirituality, specifically spirituality in the workplace. So we're going to start right away and show that. And that will be followed with a talk with Mitesh Raichada, who is the Executive Vice President of the Ayurvedic Institute. And he has some really rather remarkable stories to share with us in regard to spirituality in the workplace. So without further ado, let me just quickly, for those of you that may not be familiar with who Dr. Lad is, Dr. Vasant Lad came to the West in the late 1970s and started at the Ayurvedic Institute, I think in 1984. He has been the director there. Before in India, he had served 3 years as the medical director of the Ayurvedic Hospital in Pune. He was also a professor of clinical medicine at the Pune University College of Ayurvedic Medicine. For about 15 years before he came west. And he has been a pioneer in Ayurveda. He is the most gorgeous teacher. Any chance that you get to hear him speak as a keynote speaker, get to possibly attend any of his seminars, workshops, talks, anything, I urge you to do so, because he really is such a special human being, and we are so fortunate to have him with us here in the West. The book that he is most known for, I think, is The Ayurveda, The Science of Healing. I think it has broken probably every record in sales. And if you'd like to learn his story about his life, it's a beautiful little DVD. The doctor from India, they're just gorgeous. All of this you can find on the website www.ayurveda.com, which is the website that will take you directly to the Ayurvedic Institute. So without further ado, I'm going to test my technology here and see if I'm able to bring up the video. There's a point in the video where it seems as if it's ended and the logo for the Ayurvedic Institute comes up. But that's just very brief. And then we have Dr. Lad come back to say a few additional words. So don't go away when you see that, because it's not over at that point. So let me see if I can, do this, bear with me. All right, so I'm gonna click the share screen. And where's the share? All right, we're going to stop this share. Sorry, and we're going to start again. My apologies, everyone. Yay.
Namaste. Ayurveda is an ancient system of healing the body, mind, and consciousness. In the true sense, Ayurveda hugs the whole person. Ayurveda is touching all departments of life, our working place, our home, plus our job, as well as the office where we are working together. The Vastu, the environment, the science of environment, all this based upon individual. In the home, there is an individual. In the office, there is an individual. In a working place, there is an individual. And that individual is indivisible. Therefore, Ayurveda says we should know the individual. Means I should know myself, how I think, how I respond, how I react. So, every individual has a prakriti, the constitution, the unique psychophysiology, the unique psychobiology. And if we know the prakriti and vikruti of the individual, prakriti is your blueprint, your genetic code. And vikruti is present altered status of the dosha because of the aging, because of the seasonal changes, dietetic changes, emotional changes, and change in the environment. All these changes are constantly bombarding our body, mind, and consciousness. So our bodily dosha undergo change. And that change state of the dosha is called vikruti. Spirituality is the foundation of life. Spirituality is not something you do in the little corner of your home. Wherever you go, spirit goes. Wherever you listen, spirit is listening. Whenever you are looking, spirit is looking. So looking, listening, touching, all these five senses, Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha, these are the doors of perception and these are the pathways of inner spirituality. So Ayurveda says, spiritual life is a divine life. And to understand the spiritual life, I first understand myself. Then I have to see myself in every individual. Sometimes we judge the person, you are like this, you are like that. This judgment comes from conclusion. And conclusion breeds confusion. They go together. So we have to understand the individual, listen to him, talk to him. That is my bird, cute. And you can definitely see that in this self-knowing, I can understand every other individual. So spiritual life begins with me because I have to bring spirituality in my home. Then I should bring spirituality in my neighborhood, in the working place. And that's why spirituality is understanding every individual as he or she is, and through that understanding, not to judge, not to criticize, but lift the individual from that level of consciousness to higher level of consciousness. So you and me, we are walking together, sharing together, exploring together the same truth in our daily life, in our daily working situation. Same thing for Vastu. Your office should be facing east or north, but your office place where you are sitting should be the north, because north is the area of Lakshmi, the success, the happiness, and it will definitely bring happiness and harmony in the working situation. If your northeast corner is missing, then your office will not going to flourish. Northeast corner is very important. It is Ishan. Ishan means God. Ishan means spirit. Ishan means Lord Shiva. Then you should not have your table in the Brahmastan, which is central space. Keep it empty. So Vastu Shastra, it is a science of environment. It goes together with Ayurveda. Then working place also go together with Ayurveda. So Ayurveda is in every walks of our life. There is Ayurveda. Ayurveda is not a book. Ayurveda is your life and my life. And how we can live in harmony with the nature, with the environment, is the basic principle of Ayurveda. When I was 9 years old, young boy, my father took me to his guru. His name is Hamir Baba, highly enlightened master. And he taught about Bhagavad Gita, about yoga, meditation, pranayama, mudra, and how these things are very essential to awake the true individual within us. So, since I'm doing sincerely his way of meditation, his way of pranayama, then that has helped me that wherever I go, I see the reality of spirituality in every situation. Even in Ayurvedic Institute, is such a profoundly beautiful spiritual institute. People are working. I always say it is an institute made by the student, for the student, of the student. In the true sense, there is a true democracy. So, in working situation like Ayurvedic Institute, we think that it is a temple, it is a home of Ayurveda, it is a home of healing, and we should bring more spiritual energy the way Panchakarma is done, the way herbology is taught, the way students are receiving information. Everything is finally come back to the spirit, come back to the soul, come back to the consciousness. That may be the reason spirituality was established in Ayurvedic Institute. I think it is the grace of my Guru. It is a blessing of my Guru. He's working everywhere. Sorry to say my Guru, but generally, Guru is not yours and mine. Guru is a principle. Guru is Tattva. And that Guru, Gu means darkness, Ru means light. Any thought, feeling, and perception which will dispel the darkness and will unfold the light, that perception is Guru. Guru is the teaching. That's why I'm just following the teaching of the Guru, and that helps us to bring spirituality in day-to-day functioning of Ayurvedic Institute. Hmm? Thank you.
So special. So to Dr. Lad, thank you for your generosity of spirit and time. And just so appreciate your words and so appreciate you sharing them with us. I think we all are looking for ways to understand these times and understand the opportunities that are being given to us at this time, rather than thinking in terms of challenges, thinking in terms of opportunities. So I want to introduce again Mitesh Raichada, the Executive Vice President of the Ayurvedic Institute, and it's such a pleasure. I thank you so much for spending the time with us this afternoon. And I want to just jump right in. Mitesh has actually a really very interesting story. He's also the COO of Pearl Hospitality. And he told me this delightful story of himself and a few friends who decided to start a business. They didn't know anything about business, so they thought, well, we'll just fashion it after the ashram. That's all we know. So I'd kind of like to ask you about that because it's been extremely successful. And when you mentioned that you really followed the principles of what you had learned at the ashram, what would you say that those principles were in relationship to maybe what a corporate business might be? And you had also mentioned that whole alignment of thought and emotion, which I'm sure plays in there somehow. So we'd love to have you speak about that.
Sure. Well, first, I'd like to say what an honor to be on with you. And I speak for everybody at the Ayurvedic Institute. Thank you so much for this human evolution consciousness project that you're working on. And I know we have a short period of time. I'll dive in, but again, thank you so much. In my ashram, me and my two best friends, there's a lot of principles that you learn. And the one that was put into us by our teacher was that you have infinite potential, right? So you have infinite potential, and anything that you set your mind to, you can do. So when we started our business, I think one of the biggest blessings that we ever had was that we had no business background. None of us had business degrees. And so we thought, well, what do we know? And we're like, well, we know ashram life, and we know being kind, and we know compassion, and we know how to have fun and these types of things. So the main principle we took, a lot of businesses say that they have a balance sheet. And on the balance sheet, they'll have all their equipment, their technology, the buildings, and that's how they evaluate the value of a company. Where from an ashram perspective, from a Vedic perspective, it's really the human being, the human potential. And so what we started doing was, how can we inspire the best out of human beings? Because they are your biggest assets, not your technology, not your bricks and mortar. And luckily, it ended up being an incredible principle that launched us to, many successes. And I would say that's 100% the blessings of a guru and letting us know that there's nothing more important than the humans you surround yourself with and how you serve them. And I would say that not only was that how we started, but at the Ayurvedic Institute, Dr. Lad talked about spirituality in that video. And it's such an easy definition of spirituality, and that is seeing light. Like when I open my eyes and I look out, whether it's a tree, whether it's a building, he talked about vastu, whether it's water running, whether it's somebody that's happy or even somebody that may be angry, it's all divine, right? So our external perception of spirituality would be to see divine all around us. And then also the internal perception of seeing divine within us. So I would say that's been the secret. I mean, it's not much of a secret. Every spiritual religion and country and humanity and all cultures basically say talk about human potential and compassion. So I would say that that's what it would be.
And you've been with the Ayurvedic Institute how long now?
I've been there 5 years. I was a student and then a teacher. And for the last 12 months, I've been the main person Dr. Lad leans on to run the Institute.
Right. And you are also, you are a certified Ayurvedic practitioner, am I correct?
Absolutely. So I practice, I still practice and teach every week. And, but I also happen to run the administrative part.
Right.
And I was actually wanting to get away from administration, but then Dr. Ladd asked me, he said, you have so much experience doing this. Can you please bring this expertise to the Institute? And he's the only person I would have done this for. So, because I love him so much, but yeah.
Right. Right. And what were the differences that you found when you first came to the Ayurvedic Institute? Because I know when I even just start packing to go to the Institute, I'm excited and already just nourished by the thought of being there. And then you drive up and you go into the classroom and Dr. Ladd walks in and it's just like, it's just this amazing, it is very, very difficult to describe. So working there, how were you able to bring what you already knew, the successes that you've had with the Pearl hospitality and using the ashram platform in a sense? How are you able to marry that with what's going on at the Ayurvedic Institute?
Well, at the end of the day, light is light. So if you're working in a hotel or a restaurant or a tech company or the Ayurvedic Institute, so love is love. And so I fell in love with the Ayurvedic Institute for all the same reasons I really loved starting my first company. And that was the opportunity to elevate human consciousness. And one differentiating factor that I really loved about the Ayurvedic Institute is every product that we sell, from every herb to every class to every experience someone has through and through, there's like sattva and vibrations that elevate humanity. So I kind of felt like in this space, I was unleashed to just do what I believe in 100% of the time. And that is accredited to Dr. Ladd. Dr. Ladd, he's so humble. Even though he is the light at the Institute, he'll ask me, Mitesh, what do you think? And I'm just like, no, Dr. Ladd, whatever is in your heart, I want to be able to serve. So, but he's so humble no matter how much he's achieved. And he starts every class with a prayer. He does pujas and kirtans, and there's so many vibrations at the Institute. And so I think you said you felt that when you've stepped onto the Institute, but I feel it every day when I walk there. And I think it's the 30 years of vibrations that Dr. Ladd has put in there that really unleashes the people that work there.
It's beautiful. I believe that I've learned the things that Dr. Ladd will teach, of course, are exquisite. But as a teacher myself, I learned so much from him, watching him as a teacher. And it's really quite profound and quite beautiful. Before we came on, you had mentioned that the alignment between thought and emotion was really very, very key in a lot of the work that you've been doing. Do you want to sort of elaborate on that a little bit?
Sure, absolutely. So although that we're all individuals, like in a workplace, there's actually a collective consciousness. So we're a group mind, and we're also an individual mind. And I think the success of many organizations is predicated on alignment. Okay, and then you can mentally align, or sometimes you can emotionally align, or you can align in a work that you're doing. So what we endeavor to do at the Ayurvedic Institute, there's 3 dynamic dimensions of Vedic evolution. One is gnana, right? And so gnana has to do with knowledge. And like, for example, at the Ayurvedic Institute, any employee can audit a class, and they can sit in a Vastu class for a trimester. They can sit in a healing class, a therapeutics class. So and it's free. And our managers are so amazing that they'll allow their employees to take that hour and a half a week off to go take that class and evolve themselves. And we have many, they're allowed to go to workshops free. They're allowed to go to webinars for free. So that's the nourishing and the alignment of gnana, knowledge. The second dimension would be bhakti. So bhakti is the emotion, the vibrations of emotion that we have. And so how do we align that? So Dr. Lad has a very melodious voice, and we do kirtans. And when we do it, everybody's just in a trance. It doesn't matter what religion they have. It doesn't matter what their background is. It is alive and vibrant, and all of our emotions come together. We heal without talking about it. You know, there's something absolutely beautiful about the heart chakra that happens during our bhakti kirtans. And we also do pujas. The other thing that we've started doing at the Institute over the last year is we start every meeting with what we call gratitude. So we start our meetings with gratitude and prayers. And I'll get into that in a second. But gratitude is we go around the room and we'll say, Jeff, thank you so much for the light that you bring, or thank you for your humor. Thank you for your smile. Thank you for helping me yesterday, carry things from my car into the classroom. And that, again, really opens up the heart from a bhakti perspective. And I could go on and on. Actually, I could talk for a very long time about all the ways that we open up the heart chakra on a day-to-day manner. But the last thing, so we have gnana, and then we have bhakti, and then we have karma. So karma is our action, our ability to act in a way that is very sattvic. So for example, one of the things that we've implemented at the Institute is every employee, and we're a nonprofit, and it's not like we're incredibly profitable. So a lot of these decisions we made were based on altering consciousness. So from a karma perspective, we have this benefit for all employees called Pay It Forward. So every employee gets 8 hours PTO paid by the nonprofit to go do something outside of our nonprofit. So if they believe in, diversity, they can do social work with the diversity, and we're paying for that, the service that they're doing. If they want to do something to help their church or to help their community. So because we understand that karma that they do also creates alignment, and that we want to raise the consciousness of humanity. So that's like one benefit we have. It's called Pay It Forward. And then all of our employees, if they've done 5 years of service, we pay for 40 hours for a sabbatical for them to go to like a meditation retreat or to do a seva for a hurricane, like, if someone needs help. And so it kind of aligns, like, a lot of people talk about, hey, we want to do good in the world. But a lot of times you have to put your Lakshmi there, and you have to put your people there, and you can't just dictate the work that they want to do. You have to give them the opportunity to do that. So again, I could talk, quite a bit about that, but from 3 dimensions, Gnan, Karma, and Bhakti, we actually align our people in these 3 dimensions.
And those are actually things that could be brought into a corporation that was not necessarily yoga or Ayurveda, that may not understand prayer and kirtan. To start the meeting with gratitude is beautiful. I remember Jules' mom, and her name is Lewis Carroll, I believe, Carol Lewis, wrote a book of the Architect of All Abundance, I believe it was, but she started her meetings with 2 minutes of silence. So people would walk in and they sat down and they were silent. So these suggestions that you've given us based on your experience, Yana, and Bhakti, and Karma, that's really quite gorgeous, and they can absolutely be translated into the corporate world without having to bring in that sort of yoga aspect.
Well, one last thing in that, my prior experience has been hospitality. So my company that I founded actually ran Hilton hotels, Marriott hotels, and a couple of other brands. And our employees, we never talked about religion. We never talked about, even we did yoga, but we never called it yoga. And basically all of our meetings there we had a meeting every morning that started with a moment of silence and an inspirational thought. So this is in corporate America. This is like in like the heaviness of Texas, that culture is like very different. And I think it worked so splendidly from people with a diverse amount of religious backgrounds. And I think that if the world now, if you don't integrate spirituality and well-being into your workplace, your business will be obsolete in 20 years. In 20 years, nobody's going to work with somebody that isn't nourishing their soul, because you spend more time at work than you do at home or your family, and human beings have a need to evolve. So I just wanted to point that out also, that in my background, it works splendidly in any environment, not just a yoga or meditation or Ayurvedic school type of business.
That's beautiful. That's great. So in the last 2 or so minutes that we have, is there anything that sort of pops into your head or intuitively that you would like to be able to say, or something that you're finding out there, maybe just through communication with others? Anything that you would like to share about them, specifically about spirituality in the workplace, but maybe just spirituality in general?
I can tell you just a brief story that I think is the most important thing for spirituality in the workplace. And so I was very young, maybe 10 years ago or 15 years ago. I was very lucky, humbly, because I had an incredibly great team. We won an award for the best Hilton hotel in North America. And it's like winning an Oscar, or I mean, it's this very big, thing to be able to win something like that. We were the youngest team to have ever won that award. And at the time, the CEO of Hilton sent me an email, and he said, Mitesh, will you do me a favor? At our annual conference where all the Hilton hotels are there, do you mind speaking about your best practices so everyone can learn from why you guys are so successful? And I wrote him an email back and I said, you're not going to believe me, but I'll tell you the honest truth. It's a competitive advantage that I don't want to keep. I want the whole world to steal my ideas, and they're not my ideas, but I want the whole world to do this. And I was like, the secret sauce in our company is that we love our people. And I was like, it is nothing more than that, because you'll devise a compensation structure. You will create an environment, a break room. You will pay the people what you need to. If you love them, you're going to do it the right way. And that's all it takes. And so I would encourage people that are running organizations is the secret sauce to great success. And one other thing I'll say is our profitability and revenue numbers were higher than all of our competitors that were not doing this. And the fact that we were loving on our people, we were number one in customer service, we were number one in profit, and we were number one in employee satisfaction. And that came from compassion. So that's the last thing. The secret sauce for running a spiritual organization is so simple: is heal yourself and love your people.
That's awesome. So the chaos that is out there is the chaos that's inside of us, and that's what we have to just let go of.
Yeah, let's just start loving, you could do it today. You could do it after you get off of this, whether it's your wife or your neighbor, or forgive somebody at work. Really, the solutions are so simple, and the solutions are the same for the house, the church, the temple, the mosque, the business, the community. The answers are the same all the way around. And I think it's compassion. So I think you're a great example of the work that you're doing. And I wish you the absolute best on that. And I hope that more and more people start putting love and compassion into the world. And let's do this. Let's change the consciousness.
Sounds good to me. Thank you so much. I so appreciate your time. I hope it won't be long before the Ayurvedic Institute is able to really open and receive students again. I will certainly be there. So thank you so much. For everybody, I will be posting tonight our speakers for next month. As I mentioned yesterday, the theme is authors. Nishala Joy Devi, Amy Weintraub, Acharya Shunya and Jenny Lee, four amazing women who have books coming out this right here, right now, speaking about them. And it's going to be quite special. So again, Mitesh, thank you so much. Have an awesome weekend. And please thank everybody at the Institute for making this possible. I really appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
Om Shanti, everybody. Be safe, be well, be wise.